Hey guys, Bicep Pump here, bringing you this Unholy Death Knight Shadowlands Beginner's Guide. This video is for everyone out there who's returning to the Death Knight after some downtime or picking it up for the first time. I will cover everything I deem essential to play an Unholy Death Knight optimally, but at a very high level. So I won't give all the different cases where you might run one talent over the other. I won't go too much in depth. That is for other videos that will come later down the line. I will cover Covenant choice, talents, rotations, consumables, stat priority, conduits, and legendaries. So pretty much everything out there, but as I said, at high levels, not too detailed. A lot of recommendations, not a lot of explanations. To start off, the Covenant choice. So I know a lot of you have already made it choice, and I do hope you're happy with the one you went for. For everyone else, this is my recommendation. They are all very close. That's a very important thing to keep in mind. It doesn't matter too much if you pick Covenant A over Covenant B. However, I do recommend picking up the Necrolord Covenant. It's the one that has the highest potential when it comes to damage output. We do have Venter as a very good second choice, and there are definitely instances where Venter will perform better. Another good thing is that Venter scales very well with both Frost and Blood, so it's a very good Covenant to pick up if you plan to do a lot of off-specking. When it comes to talents, I have my go-to raid build up here. This is the one that brings the most single target, and in raids that's what we focus on. We can choose to pick Clawing Shadows in the first row if you want a little bit more utility, but generally all will serve will perform better. Everything else is really quite fixed. For Mythic Plus, there are two good builds. We have this one up here. This is what we call the wound build. It relies heavily on setting up multiple festering wounds and bursting them, dealing heavy AoE damage. This is the build you go for if you want to deal the most AoE damage out of any class in the game. However, we also do want to focus on single target. This is a build that does that much better. It's very similar to the raid build with a couple of things we switched out. Generally provides good AoE as well as very good priority damage. Now for the rotation, I do like to set it up as more of a tick box priority. So as an Unholy Death Knight, we have multiple priorities we need to take into consideration, and we'll just prioritize them differently. First of all, make sure to keep your dot up at all times, the Virulent Plague. You do this with either using Outbreak or Unholy Blight. If you do pick up Unholy Blight, that's the only button you will use to keep up Virulent Plague on pure single target. If there's something like 10 seconds or more when a target won't have Virulent Plague on them, do use Outbreak to dot them up. Second priority, use your cooldowns, right? We don't want to sit around having our cooldowns ready without using them. As a very general advice, just press them whenever they're ready. Okay, there are some cases when we want to line them up, but generally do not care about that. If you're starting out, just press them when they come up. Next priority is do not cap your resources. This means that when you are very high in runic power, you need to press Death Coil or Epidemic. We press Death Coil on single target and Epidemic in AoE. This is generally a great advice because if you do cap in your resources, it will lead to downtime further down the line, which will decrease your damage output. Next priority, don't cap your runes either. So we have multiple rune abilities. If you have 4 or more runes, it means that you're not fully taking advantage of your rune recharge. This means that if you have lots of runes, do make sure to spend them as quickly as possible. Next priority is use your actual rune single target rotation. Okay, this means use Festering Strike to apply wounds to your target. Use Scorch Strike to pop these wounds. Okay, we generally stay quite low in wounds, so use Festering Strike once and then you pop the wounds you generate with Scorch Strike back to 0. The only instance where we don't do this is when we need to generate wounds to use the Apocalypse cooldown. When you can't use this Festering Strike, Scorch Strike rotation, you press Death Coil as a kind of filler. And that's it really. There's much more to this, but this is the general rotation you will experience in single target. When we move over to AoE, it's really quite simple. We have Death and Decay, which gets introduced in the rotation. This is pop down, makes your Scorch Strike cleave. So what you will do is you pop out Death and Decay and then just spam Scorch Strike. So you kind of ignore the Festive Strike Scorch Strike combo when you have your Death and Decay down. Also, we don't press Death Coil in AoE, we always use Epidemic. This is used when we have 2 stack target or 3 spread. It just simply replaces Death Coil. I hope that was sensible and a easy take on what we need to do in our rotation. Now for the stat priority, we do want strength as our primary stat. It's much better than the secondaries, and this means that eye level will be very, very crucial when you look at your different pieces. Especially for weapons, eye level is king, because the weapon DPS scales very well to our damage. Other than strength, we want to focus on mastery. Mastery is best in both single target and AoE, so it's an obvious, wonderful stat to pick up. When it comes to all the other secondaries, they're quite even, so there's no specific priority there. Just pick up some balanced set of secondaries when it comes to haste, crit, and burst. So don't stack too much haste, don't stack too much crit. Get a little bit of everything. Obviously, that choice only comes into play when we don't get an eye level upgrade. If there's an eye level upgrade, it's pretty much always a DPS upgrade. When it comes to enhancements, we got a couple of enchants we want to put on our gear. For Cloak, we go for Fortify Speed. Speed is great for DKs, we are very slow. When we have the chest, we go for Eternal Stats. This scales very well in both single target and AoE. We can also go for Eternal Skirmish. This is better when we have a bit less gear, but as soon as you pick up a couple of raid pieces, Eternal Stats is what you will use. For the gloves, we use Eternal Strength. For the rings, we use Tenet of Mastery. And for the weapon, we use Rune of the Fallen Crusader. The rings will change depending on your stat weights, but generally going for Mastery is a very good option, and it will be best for you like 99% of the time. Gems, we go for Masterful Dual Cluster. This is the Mastery gem. Obviously, again, depends on your stat, but generally just go for Mastery. For food, we have the Feast. This is the best one we can get. We love the strength from it. However, if you don't have the Feast, go for the Ravioli with apple sauce. Gives Mastery, that's what we want, yeah? For oils and stones, these are new enchants we can put on your weapon, which actually goes on top of your Rune Forge, so we can use these. We want to use Shaded Sharpening Stone or Shaded Weight Stone. Depends on which version of weapon you have. If you have a sharp weapon, you use the Sharpening Stone. If you have a blunt weapon, you use the Weight Stone. For the flask, we got Spectral Flask of Power, and for the potion, we got Potion of Spectral Strength. But those two work very well in all scenarios. Right, for conduits, we have the best conduit out there. It's Eternal Hunger, it's best in single target and AoE, it's simply very, very good. So do pick this up as soon as possible. When you don't have that available, like very early in the level 60 process, Convocation of Dead is a good pick, but any of the Covenant conduits also solid. So just pick up something that improves your Covenant class ability, and that will be fine. And then just pick up Eternal Hunger down the line. For Legendaries, if you focus on raids, Deadliest Coil is your best bet. It's best single target one, and it also improves the feeler rotation, which is just a added benefit. The damage output is the important part, and it does it the best in single target. For Mythic Plus, Frenzied Monstrosity is the best one. It is very good in AoE and solid in single target, so it's a very good balance between the two. If you plan on playing a lot of off specs, I do recommend picking up the Pheromones Legendary. It works very well across the different DK specs. Okay, so that was Unholy Death Knight, quick and dirty. I hope this helped everyone out there who's just starting up the Unholy Death Knight journey. I do hope you enjoy it as much as I do. It's extremely fun to play. It's my favorite spec, really. Do leave a comment down below if you have any questions or comments. Do you leave an upvote or downvote depending on what you thought about this video. Also consider subscribing if you want to see more of this kind of content. I can always be found on the Across Discord. I do answer private messages, and you can always just ping me in the channel and I will make sure to answer. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more content. Thank you.